Well, hello everyone. Welcome to World at War Comics. I got my friend who I've just met right now, Mr. Shine Comics. You probably already know him from YouTube, from Instagram. He's everywhere. Got quite the following, man. Shine, I always get like pumped up watching you get super excited about a title that maybe I haven't read yet. So a lot of my spending that my wife yells at me, I blame you because you'll get me all pumped up about a book I haven't read yet. But man, I'm super excited to meet you in person. Enjoy your work, man, and welcome to the show, my friend.
Yes, man. I appreciate it so much, Tommy. It's like such a pleasure to be here. And I appreciate like your work too, man. Like World at War Comics like has some of the best interviews that I've seen like in comics. You know what I mean? I love your work, bro. Like I was just listening to your podcast like this morning, literally. So I love it.
I love it, man. Well, I think we both could agree. What we're trying to do is just express the passion that we have around this medium called comic books, man. I'm almost 50. I've been reading comics probably since I was about 8 or 9, and then more regularly around 12 to like 15 is when I really got into it, man. G.I. Joe at that time exploded, Transformers. It was just such an amazing time. In fact, I think we had 7 Spider-Man titles at one time back then, man. And it was just awesome, man. It was just such a fun time. And then obviously Todd McFarlane comes in with his version of Spider-Man, which just shook up the entire art world. And then you got Liefeld, you got this whole group, right? And then obviously behind the scenes, they're making their moves, and then they start
Yeah.
Image Comics, and Image changed the world, man, because there was other independent publishers at the time, but they just didn't make the impact that Image was able to make. And so Image really laid the groundwork for even more independence to come in, which diversified comics. It brought in a lot of characters that would have never been brought in on a Marvel or a DC just because of canon, because of rules. You know, they're they're those type of companies, right? They have to keep kind of things PG 13 at the most.
Right.
Whereas you come in with Image, man. I remember reading my first Spawn going, I'm not even sure I'm supposed to be reading this, man, but I love it, man. I was hooked like right away, right? So, like, how did you get into comic books? Like, what was that one thing that like drug you in, and then you're like, this is my thing, man.
Okay, so I got into comics in 2022, like early 2022. Like a lot of people think I've been reading them for super long, but I'm still relatively new, which is crazy. So I really got into comics. I first started off by getting into the movies, which like that's how a lot of newer fans get into the medium now. Like they start watching like the movies or playing video games, and then that's their gateway into the comics. And like like you've heard of the game like Batman Arkham, like the Arkham games. Yeah, like I used to like I would play those so much like back in like 2022 like early, and like I would just always play it and I'd be like, man, like I wonder what it's like to like I would just envision like a comic of everything. Like I would always be like, wow, like I would feel like I'm playing a comic even though I hadn't read one. So I was like, you know what? I want to read some Batman comics. So the first comic I ever got was Batman Arkham Unhinged. It's like basically a Batman comic set in the Arkham universe. And like I read it and I loved it. And I got really interested in the character of Jason Todd.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what? Like I want to read that. So I went to Barnes and Noble and I got Red Hood and the Outlaws, like volume one.
that was good.
And yeah, that I love that series. I read it. I was like, well, yo, this is so cool. Like Jason Todd was so cool as a character. And then like I just started just like my whole life became comics after that. Like I was never the same person. After I went to Barnes and Noble that day, I was never the same. Like I just started buying all of it. Like I got Batman and the Flash the button. Like then my next trip, I got Symbiote Spider-Man. And then I started getting into single issues. I started just like buying a bunch of I bought mystery boxes, which like I don't recommend anyone else do that. Like I because like 75% of the box like were comics I did not care about. But there were some like little gems in there that I still love to this day. So like I don't regret my decision.
Yeah, yeah.
Um yeah, and then I got those, and then I kept buying trades and stuff, reading like iconic stories like Flashpoint, like a bunch of Batman, like Batman Hush and stuff like that. And then I started reading the new stuff. Um, the first series I ever got that was new was Dark Crisis.
Mm.
I was reading that and like I was loving it. I was so pumped because I was new to it. Like I was still like I felt that adrenaline of being a fan. I was like, oh my goodness. Even though everyone else wasn't as pumped as excited about as me, they were like, I remember I would make videos about Dark Crisis and people were like, yo, bro, why are you so excited? These are people who have been reading it for like decades. And I was like, man, like, can you believe this? Like I'm like, I was so new, but yeah, like that was pretty much my gateway, man. And I haven't stopped since. I haven't stopped since.
I love it, man. You know, on my podcast, man, I usually try to keep things extremely positive. And I'll be honest, man, I don't like every book that I read. And I read a lot of comic books, and some of them I'm like, man, that was hard to read. But I just keep it to myself for the same reason that you just said, man, with Dark Crisis. You know, I grew up with Crisis and Infinite Earths. I have right behind me the entire series of that. That was one of the largest and most incredible series. It started like maybe early 80s, and it lasted forever, man. And so now they're kind of repeating some of these things. So as an older reader, man, you read them like, come on, guys, this has been done before.
Right.
But then I forget about someone your age and the joy that it brings. And so like I'm not going to crap on a comic book that I didn't like because maybe it wasn't meant for me. And maybe
Yeah.
it was meant for you. And obviously it built on the love that you have for comics, right? So you can't call that a negative. It's just something that I wasn't interested. And I
Right.
did like Dark Crisis. Dude, I don't know what all this thing is that's happening right now on my
Yeah, yeah. I was just watching an interview you had like literally this morning. Out like I saw that. That was so funny.
It's like you put your thumbs up and it has, I got to figure out how to turn this crap off, man. But anyways, you know, I've been trying to be very careful not to kind of poo-poo on a series. What I'll do is I just won't cover it a lot of times because I want passion to come through when I'm talking about a comic book that I love. And it's
Right.
really hard when you read something, you're like, man, it just wasn't for me, man. But I'm so happy it was for you, and I'm happy that that's built into other love for other titles. As we're talking, man, I feel like we're both kind of more on the DC side than the Marvel side. Not that I don't like Marvel, man. I love
Right.
Marvel too. Would I be correct in that?
Yeah, yeah. I'd definitely say so. Like, especially like current comics. Like, I've been enjoying like everything DC has been doing a bit more than Marvel. But yeah, like you said, like I'm a big fan of both.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love Spider-Man. Incredible Hulk is one of my favorite characters of all time. And right now, Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's one of my favorite writers, I think he's killing it right now. He's kind of brought that
Yeah.
horror side back to the Incredible Hulk, which has been pretty freaking awesome. The artwork is incredible. So yeah, stuff like that. I'm kind of excited. I know, you know, people my age aren't too excited about the new X-Men, but I'm really excited to see what happens with X-Men as the Krakoa era, you know, kind of comes to an end and they start to bring in this new era with, I think, Tom Brevoort said there's going to be like 5 different titles over the next 5 months. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with some of these older characters because X-Men 97 that just came out on Disney Plus, I thought was a banger, man. I enjoyed it, man. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it yet.
I actually people like get so surprised. Like I haven't read a single X-Men comic, but I ordered some. Like I'm gonna start reading them. As a matter of fact, like this could be an opportunity, like if you give me some recommendations. I ordered like a bunch of like the early Jim Lee ones, because like I love his art and stuff, and like I want to
That's the
read
Chris
those. But
Claremont era. The Chris Claremont era. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I definitely I'm trying to get into it because a lot of people constantly ask me questions and I'm like about, hey, like what do you think about this? And I'm like, man, like I haven't read it, man. Like I'm sorry. Like I don't know much about them at all. But it's definitely something I plan to get into.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So definitely if you want to get into that Chris Claremont, Jim Lee era, to this day, issue number 1 still is the highest selling single issue of all time. It was 7.5 million copies that were sold. So the good thing is you could get it pretty cheap. And it's a dope cover by Jim Lee, and obviously
Yeah.
the inside by Jim Lee is absolutely. I mean, Jim Lee is one of the best artists I think ever, but and then Chris Claremont, I mean, he's one of the best writers. I would definitely start there, but I would jump in on Disney Plus and watch X-Men 97 because a lot of the comic books in the 90s really followed that episode. So it makes it easy because it's entertaining since you're watching it in animation, and you're gonna
Right.
get a big gist of it. And when the new series comes out, um, what's her name? Because there's going to be three series that come out right away. Gail Simone. Gail Simone is going to be writing kind of the main X-Men, so it'll have all the main characters. Then they're going to have what is it, the NYX, which is kind of like a chapter of X-Men in New York, and I can't remember the third one. I think that's the one that's in Louisiana. But yeah, the Gail Simone one's going to be kind of the center one. And I would start there, man, because you're going to get a really good background of who these characters are. Obviously, with kind of a newer taste or a little bit more modern story, which, sometimes could be good. Sometimes you're like, man, I don't know, man.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Pretty
super
cool.
excited to get into it.
Yeah. So, as I've been watching you, man, I think you and I are completely aligned with what Ghost Machine is doing right now. Rook is next
I
level, man.
Yeah, I love Rook so much. Like
Dude, it's got
I
chills.
honestly I might like it more than Geiger, to be honest. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. It's really, really good. It's man, I can't believe it.
Yeah, me neither, man. And Fabok is killing it on. I mean, he's always been an amazing artist, but I think he's like taken it to another level. And just because of the characters and their masks that they wear and the detail and the straight lines, the art is just coming out like it's just incredible. I think it's some of the best art in comics right now.
Yeah, I definitely I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't know if I like I'm a big fan of Gary Frank. I don't know which one, like Jason Fabok or like Gary Frank. I don't know which, like they're both like kind of neck and neck for me.
Yeah,
But for sure, Rook has been absolutely amazing. Geiger has been phenomenal. Like I've been loving, this new series.
yeah,
And like Geiger as a whole. But yeah, Ghost Machine. And I'm excited because like they have a bunch of new stuff that's coming soon too. Like I can't wait to see like all that new stuff come out. But man, I'm super duper hyped.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, like, do you have like a favorite writer in the last couple of years that you've been reading comics? Is there like one writer you're like, man, every time I pick up a comic from this writer, I absolutely love it?
I'd say I'd say Geoff Johns or Chip Zdarsky. Like
Yeah.
I'd say both of those. I'm probably like if I had to like gun in my head, I had to choose. I don't know. Like that's so hard. I'd probably like just be like sitting there for hours. Like I probably might lean to Chip Zdarsky, but like both of those guys, like I love their work so much.
Yeah.
Like man, so much.
Agree, agree. I mean, I think Geoff Johns over the last 20 years is probably one of the top writers from a consistency standpoint. Like whatever he does, it just comes across. And obviously, as being a Green Lantern fan, man, his 20-year run, or 10-year run, I mean, on Green Lantern was just next level. Um, the emotional spectrum that he
Yeah.
created, and just everything about it just took like this small little world of Green Lantern and just turned it into like such a I don't know, complex in some ways, but just so many different ways that you could go from a storytelling standpoint with all the different emotional spectrums, and you could relate to each one because each of the
Right.
emotions, right, we have, and at like certain things trigger those emotions, and you could see
Yeah.
how it affects some of these characters, man. I don't know, man. What is that similar to how you've kind of fallen in love with Green Lantern?
Yeah, for sure. Like I like with Geoff Johns, he's like, I started reading. Well, actually, it's crazy. The first Green Lantern book. Well, how I got into Green Lantern, I actually got into Green Lantern. Like I read Injustice, which I love that series, like by Tom Taylor. And I remember like there was this battle where like Injustice Superman was fighting like all of the Green Lanterns, and like the art was just so cool, and like I was just so immersed in the battle. I'm like, yo, this is so cool. And then Injustice Superman became a Yellow Lantern, and like I was just so stoked. So like once I saw that, I was like, yo, I gotta start reading Green Lantern. And what's funny is I started by reading Blackest Night. That was the first Green Lantern story that I read. So you can imagine like when I read it, like I was a bit confused, but at the same time, I still understood what was going on. Like when I saw like the different like core members, like Saint Walker,
Yeah.
like the Indigo tribe, like it was so cool. Like I was confused, but I understood what was going on. And when Barry became a Blue Lantern, like
Lantern,
I remember
yes. Oh,
I was jumping. And yeah, and once I read that, I was like, oh wow, like this is the end. And I didn't feel like starting from the beginning.
yeah.
So as soon as I read that, I read Brightest Day. And
Yep.
then yeah, after Brightest Day, I read like War of the Green Lanterns. And
Hmm.
then after that, I read, the new 52 stuff. And
Yeah.
then after that, I just decided like I just started all over. I started with like Green Lantern Rebirth and No Fear. It was really, really weird. I don't recommend anyone else do what I did, but it worked for me. And
Yeah.
like I fell in love with it, man.
Have you had a chance to jump into Peter Tomasi and the Green Lantern Corps?
Yeah, for sure. I read. I'm still gonna get the omnibus for like the pre New 52 stuff because there's one out for that. But his New 52, like Green Lantern Corps, I read it and I loved it, man. I love how he portrays the characters. I love how he portrays John Stewart. He did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, agree, man. So when I grew up, well, let me ask you first before I tell you mine. Do you have a favorite Green Lantern?
I really don't like I love them all kind of
Yeah.
equally. Like I love how John, Colin, Guy. So like I don't really, to be honest.
So growing up, man, Justice League cartoon was a big part, and the Green Lantern at the time was John Stewart. So growing up, that was my favorite character. Of course, I love Hal, like you, man. I love them all, man. I even love
Right.
Jessica Cruz, man. I
Yeah, for sure.
everything that she's been through and how that affects her, how she now goes back and forth between green and yellow once in a while, because of that tragedy that she went through, seeing her friends die. And it's just, there's so much like depth when it comes to the emotion, and it's so relatable, man. I just love it all. But man, I would have to say John Stewart's probably my favorite. My dad was in the Marines, obviously his background in the military. He's very stoic, which at
Yeah.
times he could be a little boring as a character because he is very stoic. And there's not a lot of emotion because he's just such a well put together, and it's almost he's too perfect at times.
Yeah.
That's why back in the day, and I think I mentioned this on one of your posts, man, it's just a shame that the guy that wrote Mosaic was a pervert, and he kind of, whatever happened to him, I don't know, but that was the first time we kind of really delved into who John Stewart really was. And it was exciting for me because I wanted to see a personal side. And then all of a sudden, right, you get into like War Journal, right?
Yeah.
And man, Philip
Phenomenal.
Kennedy Johnson is killing it. The emotion that he has for his mom and what he's willing to do to protect, and the just the sacrifice he's willing to make as he's trying to balance all these different things that are going on. Dude, I am so sad that there's only going to be 12 issues of this thing, man.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate, dude. Like I already pre-ordered to no, Mark Spears
Yeah,
like variant cover for issue 12. Like it's so freaking fire.
so good, man.
Yeah, like I love that so much. But excuse me, but
Good.
yeah, like to see it coming to an end, that's really unfortunate because I would love to see like but be ongoing, and to see kind of, because like a lot of it has been like kind of action packed, like John, fighting, the Revenant Queen, and
Yeah.
the like just full space battles. And it would have been cool to kind of see like an aftermath of John actually, you know, a bit more grounded. Not that I don't like the space battles, but
Yeah.
like him kind of, because like the first issue, I really enjoyed him kind of living a civilian life and like being with his mom and stuff. Like I really, and him, working with still like having a job. Like it, I really enjoyed that. And if it could have been ongoing, we could have got more of that. We could have got more space battles, but it's so sad to see it coming to an end. Like
Yeah.
really disappointed.
Well, I know Jeremy Adams said that even with it coming to an end, they do have some plans to bring Jon Stewart into the main title with Hal Jordan just to do much, because those two really are the kind of the leaders of the Green Lantern, right? And obviously over time, at any given time, one was more of a leader than the other. But today, I mean, that's the Green Lantern right there, right? And of course,
Right.
you got Joe, who I love. Like I said, Jessica Cruz, love her, man. I just wish they would do a little bit more with her. I actually had the honor of having Ryan Caddy on, and he has written a couple um, comics of her as a Yellow Lantern, which has been really cool to kind of read, man. Worth checking out. But
Yeah.
yeah, super awesome, man. Enjoying all of it, man. And then even the Hal Jordan stuff, man. I pulled out all my Hal Jordan stuff, man, because like
Yeah,
issue
that's
I
fire.
think on
I have
every
that cover for issue one. That one's dope.
yeah. Dude, some of the covers have been so dope, man. Just incredible, man. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for
been
sure.
a blast, man. It's been a blast reading them and getting into it. Green Lantern's kind of always been my favorite of DC, although I'm a huge Batman, Flash, all that, man. Justice League was a big part of my life, but I don't know, man. Green Lantern, for whatever reason, has captured me, man.
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel the same way. And like the art, like his art has never really like Green Lantern as it's so crazy because you can't even call Green Lantern a person. Like it's
Yeah,
literally a franchise.
it is.
Like it's not like it's not even like it's literally a franchise. Like you can make an entire DC like you know James Gunn is making a DCU and stuff which I'm hyped for a lot of those projects. But
Yeah,
it's funny, you can make an entire DCU 10-year plan with just Green Lantern. Like
sure.
just those characters like Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Kyle Rayner's arc, like
Yeah.
Sinestro, Atrocitus,
Yeah.
Simon Baz. Like you could literally just that alone. So it's just crazy to me. Like I love it. I love the lore and the art has never really died down. Like Montos, who's
Oh,
doing War Journal, I love that so much. And Harmonico on the main Green Lantern run, he's doing a phenomenal job. And what was funny, he actually did I don't know if you read it like Injustice 2 comics, like
uh,
there was like this arc where there was this arc about Green Lantern and Harmonico actually like did the interiors on that. I was like, oh wow, that's cool. Like I didn't even realize that like he did those. So yeah, he's phenomenal. And like when you look at the older stuff like Ethan Van Sciver, Ivan Rice, or Reyes, like I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but
yeah, Ivan Rice, man. Yeah, no, he's freaking amazing. I think I have and here's my Ethan Van Sciver autograph, man, from back in the day.
yeah,
Uh,
that's
I
fire.
love his art, man. He's gotten kind of a little crazy on the internet once in a while. I know he pisses a lot of
Yeah,
people off,
yeah, but
but
yeah,
his
like I,
art, man, you can't argue with his art, man. His art is by far one of my favorites, man.
yeah,
Just
for
incredible
sure.
artist, man.
Yeah, Jim Lee, which Jim Lee never did. Bro, I really want Jim Lee to do a Green Lantern series. He's never actually did a series about it, but just from what we've seen, like in the New 52 Justice League, like every single time you see Green Lantern there, I get so hyped. I'm like, bro, this Jim Lee art is so phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um, and like back in like the early 2000s, like he did 6 covers of like the Green Lantern run. Now I bought every single one because they're just fire. Like I need him to do a Green Lantern series. But
Yeah.
yeah, and even like back like farther than that, like Daryl Banks, who like
Oh yeah, 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 for sure.
who did like a lot of those like the Emerald Twilight series. Like
Yes.
it's I love the mythology. It's amazing.
And there's just so many like different directions that Green Lantern has gone over the years. So whenever I go to a really nice comic book store and they got a lot of back issues, I find myself just going crazy looking for crazy
Yeah,
covers, and it's just so much fun, man, because like you said, it's a franchise. And it's gone in so many different directions, whether it's Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz having stories of their own, with I think Tim Seeley wrote a lot of those.
yeah,
Um, just I don't know, man. It's so fun, and it's so diverse, man. It's incredible how diverse the stories are because the characters are so diverse. And you just don't see a lot of that in comics outside of like X-Men. And I think that's one of the reasons why X-Men has been so popular for so many years, right? It's one of the few titles, and it didn't start off that way by far, man. It didn't happen until later on. But in fact, here's my pride and joy, man. This is the first appearance of John Stewart right here.
oh my goodness, that's fire.
Yeah, this is my
Wow.
baby right here, man.
Oh
Um,
my.
I mean, I'm hoping to get the Hal Jordan one day, but dude, it's so crazy
Yeah,
expensive,
that's
man. It's
Yeah, that one's
crazy. And
impossible.
even this one is starting to get a little expensive, but dude, I just stare at this once in a while and
Nah, like I don't blame you, man. Like that, like it's like the cover is just beautiful. Like
it
I
is.
love John
I
so
had to
much.
like this you could pick up right now in your stores right here. So this is the one that I'll go into and I'll read it and check it out, right? Because this is brand new. But man, the old one,
Right.
love it, man. So
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
so good.
He- yeah, man, the mythology of Green, and that's why it sucks that Green Lantern hasn't had like mainstream like mainstream people aren't really enjoying it because like, and I'm gonna say this, people might get mad at me. Green Lantern is like, to me, I never really got too much into Star Wars. I like Green Lantern way more than Star Wars. I think Green Lantern's better than Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Hey,
be
just
honest.
I get a lot of crap online because I actually like the movie.
Like, I have it like right here. Like I love I love that movie. And they even made a video game about it too, which I
Yeah.
love the video game. Yeah, the movie's phenomenal. I'm gonna say this. People call me crazy, but I think the movie was a bit ahead of its time. Like, I don't think the general public were ready for it. The marketing probably like there's a bunch of factors that go into a movie bombing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's not always like in the movie, like it could have been better. Like they could have made changes, but
For
the
sure.
fact the fact that people just call it bad, like, oh, this movie is bad, like this is a horrible movie. I'm just like, dude, where? Like
Yeah.
I wish I saw it. Like,
Yeah, some people call it like the worst hero movie ever. I'm like, dude, have you ever seen Daredevil? Oh my
hmm.
gosh, man.
Well, I don't hate the Daredevil movie. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I feel
The
like,
one with Ben Affleck?
yeah, like I don't hate it. I think it's okay. Like I like it for what it is. I don't know why. Like those older movies, I can't really say it's nostalgia because they came out like Daredevil came out before I was even born. But
Yeah.
um, I still, yeah. So like I don't know why. Like I be acting like I'm nostalgic for stuff that way before me. But
Oh, it's
I
all to
still
each his own, man. But you can't tell me Green Lantern sucks and that's better than Green Lantern, man. It's at least the same,
right.
man. I mean, they both have their flaws, just like all movies do. But I thought Green Lantern was a lot of fun. I actually just rewatched it again like two
Yeah.
weeks ago, man, just because I had to have it in my system, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like I rewatched it a lot too, and it's like I mean, people say like, "Oh, this is the worst comic book movie of all time," and it's like, bro, like so you're putting it in the same category with Catwoman, like
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
like you're fine with doing that because if Green Lantern is a 1 out of 10, what is Catwoman? Like
Yeah.
I don't get it, man.
I don't get it either, man. Halle Berry was the only reason why I like that movie, man.
Yeah, for real. It was funny. Is like, bro, like the Beetle movie that came out, which like I don't think that's a bad movie at all, but
I liked it
people
twice in the
yeah,
theaters.
yeah. I don't think it's a bad movie. Like I think I saw it in theaters and I thought it was good. But the amount of people who are like so ready to put it like on this high pedestal, and I'm like, bro, like it's pretty similar to Green Lantern. Like I think they're both good movies. Like I think but
Yeah,
like you can't convince me that Blue Beetle's up here and Green
yeah,
Lantern's down here. Like I won't accept that. I can't.
exactly, dude. Exactly, man. All right, so how about outside of DC and Marvel? Are there anything that you're reading on the indie side, whether it be from AWA, Titan Comics, Image, right now that you're really enjoying too?
The American Psycho series by Sumerian Comics, I've been really enjoying that. Like I just jumped onto it. Like it keeps getting delayed, but the final issue comes out like in a couple of weeks. But I've been really enjoying that. Like I have some videos planned like to make about it. It's so good. Like if you're a fan of the American Psycho movie, you would love the comic. It's I loved every bit of it. But yeah, that I obviously everything that Ghost Machine is doing, um public domain, Chip Zdarsky's Public Domain by Image Comics. I love that series so much. It gives you like an inside look on like the comic industry and like how people make them and like what comic creators go through. It's so good. But yeah, outside of that, like nothing as of right now, but I'm definitely adding new things to the pull list like consistently. So
Yeah.
there will be more, 100%.
I think when it comes to indie, and there's a lot of indie that I like, man. But I think one of my favorite indie comics right now is Conan the Barbarian with Jim Zub as the writer. And if you don't know Jim Zub, man, I mean, he wrote Avengers when all the Avenger movies were coming out. He's done a bunch of work for Marvel. He's absolutely incredible. And Conan the Barbarian, right? It was created by Robert E. Howard in the 19 late the late 1920s. And he created a whole bunch of other characters at the same time. And unfortunately, he took his life when he was 30 years old,
Wow.
because it was just him and his mom, and he cared for his mother a lot. And I thought she got tuberculosis and she died, and he couldn't handle the pain. And so he took his own life. But he left this like library of stories of Conan the Barbarian, and it just took it to another level once he passed away. And unfortunately, he didn't see all the popularity. He was in a comic book called Weird Tales during the 20s and 30s, and that's where he would publish just short stories of Conan. But then a famous artist who I'm not sure you're familiar with named Frank Frazetta, he was a phenomenal, one of the world's best painters in the last like 50 years. And he did a cover. In fact, let me show you this cover, dude. He did a cover for Conan the Barbarian, and it was a group called the Lancer Group that got the rights to Conan the Barbarian. And they started issuing these small little books, man. And they're all short stories. So in each book, there might be like 5 or 6 little short stories. So it's easy to read, pretty awesome. But you have this cover right here that Frank Frazetta, and this is a painting, and it's Conan the Barbarian with this sword stuck in a pile of skulls that he's standing on. So it's like super gory, a little bit mature. The stories are absolutely incredible, but this is what blew him up and made him so popular is once Frank Frazetta started doing the drawings, all of a sudden it drew so many people in because Frank Frazetta was popular for doing, sword and sorcery and also sci-fi art. And to this day, you should follow Frazetta Girls on Instagram and on Facebook, and you could see all of his artwork. It's absolutely brilliant, man. Just some of the best artwork you will ever
That
see
is
in your life,
awesome.
man. It's beautiful. Like I said, these are the old Lancer ones that you would pick up like at a drugstore as a kid. But then I got so many Conan books. I collect. I'm trying to get the whole collection of Marvel because they did 200 and I think 75 issues because Marvel had the rights to it. And Roy Thomas was the writer of Conan. And Roy Thomas is one of the creators of Wolverine. So he's done
Wow.
all kind. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, man. He's still alive today. Doesn't do a ton of interviews. I've tried, man. I want to get him on so bad because he's just the legend in the industry. But he really took Conan and made Conan just blow up once it went into comic book form. And so Jim Zub also wrote while at Marvel, and now he is doing Conan the Barbarian. And dude, if you love kind of that kind of stuff, man, you got to try at least an issue or two. He is killing it right now. In fact, he's up for I think 3 different Eisners for Conan. So that would be one
Wow.
of my favorite indies right now. But man, I'm into a lot of stuff, man. It's like my wife is all, dude, you can't be into everything. I'm like, I kind of am, bro. I kind of am, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like with the current with current comics, there's always like a lot of talk about people don't like current comics or but like I mean like there are so many good comics from everywhere, like independent,
Yeah,
Image, like even Marvel and DC, like the new event Absolute Power. Like
yeah.
I'm super duper excited, to get into that. Like Dan Mora and Mark Wade,
Mark
like I mean,
Wade, that
yeah,
connection is like one of the best connections in all the comics.
right, right. Like I'm loving that series. Chip Zdarsky's Batman run, I loved it. That's my favorite like ongoing series. Like
Yeah.
that series is I love it so much. And a lot of stuff. Even like oh yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther. Like I've been loving Ultimate Spider-Man.
I've been watching your videos on Ultimate Black Panther, man.
Yeah, for sure. Like Ultimate Black Panther, I'm a big fan of. Ultimate
Yeah.
Spider-Man is phenomenal. And I'm excited for San Diego Comic-Con because I know a bunch of stuff is gonna get announced. Like I
Yeah.
need to know because like Christopher Priest, he said that like he's working on something big at Marvel. Like he
I
said so
hope he
like
does something, man. You know, he did that sci-fi book and he only came out with one issue, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll think of it in a second because you know he did Green Lantern for a while too. And he came out with a sci-fi book very similar to Green Lantern. I'll think of it in a second, and I have it, and I've even written him, but he doesn't do social media. He's like erased all social media and it's kind of backed away from it, which I fully
yeah,
get, man. I mean, when you're that popular as a writer, you know how much hate you probably get when you make a change to a character, which I think is
right.
ridiculous. I think was it Tom Taylor, somebody burnt his picture on film and then sent it to him.
Yeah, I saw that. I remember I called that out. I was like, dude, like what's the big deal? Like and it sucks because people and a big part of it is because like these weirdos who like would do stuff like that is that like a lot of creatives will take criticism will get very defensive towards criticism and I don't blame them because like dude when people are sending you death threats over like simple like you them making a change that you don't like I would probably get defensive too because and because of all of that extreme behavior, people will like kind of see basic criticism as like a threat or something.
Yeah.
So like that's why I tell people, man, like if you want to criticize a story, criticize a story. If you want to criticize a writer, criticize a writer. But don't make it personal. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
I hate that.
Nah, it's some people get a little nutty, dude. You're like, dude, come on, man. We're talking everything we're talking about is fake, man. None of this is real, bro. All of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's fictional. Like I don't know, man. And yeah, and even Chip Zdarsky, like he kind of he got a bunch of hate for simply stating that he liked Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run. Like he got hate for saying that he liked it, and I'm like, listen, I'm not a big fan of Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run, but like you're telling me y'all are like sending threats to a dude for saying that he liked it, like
Yeah.
that is crazy. Man, I don't get it.
Yeah. No, it's so nuts. That's why I said when I don't like something, I just stop reading it and I move on to
Yeah,
something else. I don't need to tell anybody about it. I don't need to make a big
right,
deal about it. It's all good, man, because someone's gonna like it. But I
right.
will say, man, the news that Joe Kelly is now going to be taking over ASM is I'm really excited about that. I don't know if you know the history of Joe Kelly,
I
but
don't.
so the Deadpool that we know today that's in the movies, that's his creation. We know
Wow.
Liefeld created Deadpool. Joe Kelly created the character Deadpool. He
Whoa.
made Deadpool who he is today. He's also done Spider-Man runs. He's done other runs too. Um, you know, I'm losing my mind here. You'll know who I'm talking about when I show you this character. And in the comic book that he created, the character is different.
Is that
From the Disney movie.
is that Baymax?
Yes, it's called. Was it Big Hero 6 or
Yeah,
Big?
yeah, Big Hero 6. Yeah, that's Baymax.
Yeah.
I loved that movie when I was a
Oh,
kid.
heck yeah, me too, man. So Big Hero 6 was an actual comic book that Joe Kelly and an artist created. It's their creation. And they
Wow.
sold that creation to Disney. And Baymax is actually like a giant monster in the comic book. So they made some changes, and this is the Disney version of Baymax now, as we all know. But that's
Right.
Joe Kelly. You got to look up Joe Kelly, man. He's been in the industry for 30 years. The guy is an amazing writer, and I'm really excited to see what he does with ASM, man, because I think he's going to tear it up.
Yeah, for sure. And like it's interesting. I can't wait to see what happens because like you know everyone's reading Ultimate Spider-Man like they're super duper like it's the hype for it. I'm not gonna lie, like part of me is like a little bit still salty. I'm still a little bit salty over Ultimate Spider-Man because like Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1, and it's a great comic, but
Yeah.
like how was that worth more money than this? Like the first appearance, or like or this? Like
I agree
I
with you.
like
I
right.
agree with
It's
you. It makes no sense.
like you're telling me Right. Like that has more value than Hal Jordan becoming paralyzed or the first appearance of Kyle Rayner. It's
Kyle
just
Rayner.
like the value of these books, like I don't collect them necessarily for the value, like it's the passion, but like it is like so weird when like a new book or like just any book comes
Yeah.
out and it's worth more than like iconic stories, which Ultimate Spider-Man will be iconic, but
Yeah.
it's still I don't know, but
It's
yeah,
funny
for
you
sure.
say that, man, because check this out. And I have those comics you have, and I have them all embossed, but this is the first issue of Jessica Cruz.
Jessica Cruz, yeah, that
Yeah.
one's
And so
fire.
the comic book's worth nothing. You could pick up this comic book for probably $6. But to
Yeah,
me, because I'm a Green Lantern fan, it's worth it,
facts.
right? And so I have
Yeah,
Kyle Rayner, I have my Simon Baz, I have all
yeah,
these ones, and I'm getting them all taking them and putting them to CBCS or CGC just because that's my thing, man. I don't care if it's
right, right,
I
right.
love these characters, man. They mean a lot to me, man. And I don't know, man. Like that makes no sense that a character with all this history now, and you got Ultimate Spider-Man that's on issue 6, and it's worth crazy money, man.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, like I have my first appearance of Simon Baz too. Like I need Geoff Johns to sign. Bro, if I ever see Geoff Johns in real life, like I have so many books, like I need him to sign. Same with Chip Zdarsky. And like what you said about the value, like I resonate with that a lot because even like the characters that Chip Zdarsky, he created so many new original villains like to the Batman lore, like
Yeah.
Daniel Capsio, Failsafe, Red Mask. And I ordered, like I literally bought variant covers of those like issues, and they're not worth anything. Like the first appearance of Failsafe, it's
Yeah.
not worth anything, but it still feels so valuable to me. Like,
Exactly.
and and like I know if they make a movie about it or like an animated movie, like I know it probably will jump and stuff. And like I can't wait to see, specifically that story in other mediums. And same
Yeah.
with Green Lantern, like even like Green Lantern and like Green Arrow, like that
Yeah.
series. I'm getting into it and I'm loving it. And I would love for them to do like a new version of that. That would be really, really cool. I
That,
would love that. I, man, I wish, and I would love, and I kind of wanted to talk with you a little bit about like the Lantern show, like
yeah.
like predictions for it and like how you
Yeah.
feel about what we've heard so far. Because I would love to see Green Arrow maybe appear in that show as a kind of a nod to their deep history, like their friendship and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, you never know, man. So what I've read, and you let me know because you probably read some of the same stuff, but I think there's not going to be a lot of CGI the first season, right? So it's going to be like a police drama, is what they're saying, right? So something is
Yeah,
happening on Earth, and what's happening is it's bringing a lot of the Earth lanterns back to Earth because they got to figure out what's going on, and I think it's going to lead to other things that are happening in James Gunn's universe that he's creating, whether it's in movies or other TV shows. So, from what I've heard from James Gunn, just reading Twitter and stuff like that, he says that the Green Lantern show is going to be instrumental for you to understand what's going on in the broader world of DC. And so you got to watch it. But there's not going to be a whole lot of, leaving 2814, right? They're not going to be in OA. They're not going to be doing some of this other stuff. It's going to really be happening there. And it's going to be an older Hal Jordan. So they're already looking for an artist that, or actor that is between like 35 and 45.
yeah,
They're looking for a John Stewart who's going to be kind of late 20s, maybe early 30s, because Hal's going to kind of be that mentor to John Stewart. So they're going to be the two main characters. But we know that
yeah.
they've already have a
Guy
guy,
Garner.
right? And so I have a feeling Simon Baz is next, Jessica Cruz is next, Joe Mullen's going to be next, and I think that'll be kind of the main core. We might see Alan Scott down the road a little bit, but even in comic books, right, he really hasn't been brought into Green Lantern just because he's part of the Justice League of America, the JLA, and
Right.
some of the other things they've done with the character doesn't really make sense for him to join yet. But everything's going to be taking place on Earth, and it's going to be more like a police noir which sounds cool to me, man. And I have a feeling as it does well and it starts to build into all these other things, I think it will move into another movie down the road. But we're talking like 2027, 2028, because
Yeah.
they're already behind on a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, for sure. Me personally, like I'm very skeptical. Like I'm still trying to like see, I need to see the vision. I need to obviously see everything. I don't want to judge something that hasn't even been filmed, cast, or anything. But
Yeah,
with the first season, with it not being like it's not gonna be CGI heavy and it's gonna be like kind of like a detective story, like a little bit on
yeah.
Earth. I I, I don't know. Like I don't know how to feel about it. Like because it's you've read like you probably read more Green Lantern comics than me. Green Lantern is I mean it's unfortunate, but it's true. Like Green Lantern has always kind of been space battles and like and I'm not saying like everything. I'm not asking like hey give me Sinestro Corpse War like on the first adaptation. I'm not saying that, but it's just like I mean I would like to see Oa, you know what I mean? Like I would like to kind of see like the Guardians, and also because I'm guessing Kyle Rayner's not going to be in the movie because they're saying John Stewart's a new recruit, and it's like okay, if he's a new recruit and he's being mentored by Hal, where
Yeah.
does Kyle fit in there?
Because
So
Kyle in the comics doesn't come for 15 years later, maybe something. I don't know.
yeah, like way down the line, and also I'm also curious of how they're going to introduce him because obviously in the comics like Raider is introduced. So it's like, are we gonna see how become Parallax? Like, I don't know. Like, I would have done things way different. You know what I mean? Like, if it were me, I would have made the show. I would have adapted Green Lantern Rebirth for the show. You know what I mean? And just like have all of the lanterns, like have like kind of the aftermath of like Parallax and stuff. But I don't know. We'll see because you have to also like I as a comic book fan, I've kind of realized that these comic book movies, as unfortunate as it is, they're not really made for comic book fans. They're made because like, and I don't blame them
Yeah.
because if just comic book fans see it, then it's not gonna do well. Like they would
Yeah.
go bankrupt. But
Yeah,
like,
you expanded your consumer base, right?
yeah, exactly. But it still saddens me though because it's like, dude, like I know if you made every kid in America read Blackest Night, they would love that. Like like they would love War of the Green Lanterns. Like everything Geoff Johns did, like I know like that, the wider audience would love that. So I don't know, man. Like I'm excited because it's Green Lantern and I hope it's great and I'm gonna like ward off on criticism because like you have to wait till it comes out. But
Yeah.
I'm I wish we could have saw like Oa and like all of the other lanterns. Like I wish we could have got that.
Yeah, I think you're right though. I think it's just going to be Hal, and it's just going to be Guy Gardner's going to make an appearance. He has to because we already know he's been cast, and then John Stewart, because
Right.
the other lanterns don't come for years after that, right? So
Yeah.
we might not be able to get those right away, but we'll see what happens, man. I'm with you though. I want to see what the the costume designs are going to look like.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
because that was one of the things that a lot of people kind of gave a little bit of crap to was the costume designs in the movie, which I actually kind of liked, but I get it, man.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I
depending on where you came in at reading Green Lantern, that's going to be your probably favorite costume.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I like the costumes on the movie too. Like so many people were now for Guy Gardner, it makes sense for his suit to be like practical because and actually I don't know if you saw, but we actually got our first look at Guy Gardner like on
Yeah.
like of his costume and stuff. And like his like I like it, I think it's cool. But like Hal's costume being CGI to me, it kind of makes sense to me because like it's funny, like for the Green Lantern movie, I mean, no, not Peter, Ethan Van Sciver and Geoff Johns kind of explained why they felt that it should be CGI because, like, I mean, it's not Claude, you know what I mean? Like, it's an alien, like it's actual, well, not an alien, but it's like it's extra dimensional, like it's a ring. So, I like to me it made sense, but yeah, it's like you said, like I'm waiting to see, and I can't wait, to see what they do. I just really wanted to get the Manhunters as a villain, dude. Like
Yeah.
a movie with the Manhunters being the villain, I would have killed for that. That would be amazing.
I will say I'm really excited about the Penguin series coming, man. I don't
Yeah,
know if you enjoyed Batman, but
I love the Batman. I love that.
to be honest, I hate to say this, man, because my Batman was the Michael Keaton era, which I still enjoy, right? I think that is probably the best Batman movie out of all of them. To me, that was my favorite Batman movie. I just love the detective work that took place. The newest one, right? Batman 1, with Matt Reeves. I just thought he killed it, man. That was by far my most favorite Batman. And if they could do the TV series with the Penguin, all dark and gritty, and Patton is going to make a couple appearances throughout the series. They've already said, and then they're
Yeah,
already going to start working on Batman 2 next year at the beginning of the year. Man, this could really turn out to be something really special, I think, man.
for sure. Yeah, that entire universe is phenomenal. And I was saying, you know how you kind of have like even in comics, like you have those smaller universes that like obviously they're not the big universe, but like it's like a small like for example, Earth One. Earth One is like a smaller, more grounded, like its own universe. I would love to see them kind of go that route with the Batman, where like maybe we get. I doubt that they'd make like a Superman movie in that universe, but what if we got like I'm trying to think. What do we got? I don't know. Like, would you have an idea? What do we got? Like, a. I'm trying to think like of a ground because it's like a grounded universe. So like you'd have
Yeah.
like grounded heroes.
I mean, you can go in a lot of different directions, man.
Yeah, like it would be. I remember originally like I was saying like what if they made like kind of like a super grounded and that's what I was mad about because like the Lantern show is gonna be super duper grounded like from what it seems like. I'm like, dude, like that would fit like the way you're describing it, that fits more into like the Reeves verse than like, a main, DCU verse. But like, I mean, that's their like creative property. But yeah, like I'm excited for the future of the DCU. I'm excited, about comics, like DC Comics, Marvel. And man, the announcements are gonna be phenomenal. I can't wait.
Dude, so much news is coming, man. So much news. A lot of good stuff, man. A lot of good stuff, man. I'm excited, man. I'm
Yeah, for
excited.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then have you had a chance to read Local Man by Tim Seeley?
Yeah, I actually have. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Dude, it's that old 90s style. And even there's like Easter eggs of like Cyberforce and other characters that he's been dropping in each issue. So you got to really
Yeah.
read it a couple times, dude. And the covers that they've done, they did that Max cover, which was incredible. So yeah, I'm enjoying that a lot, man. It's a crazy comic, dude. It's crazy, but it's so good.
Yeah, for sure. Like I like the modern comics that I like in terms of modern comics, there I like what's your favorite run going on right now, like at this moment?
I mean, my favorite run really is Conan the Barbarian, man. It has renewed my love for Conan. The stories are crazy. The fighting is insane. Again, it's more of an adult theme, but I absolutely love it. The art is absolutely incredible. Some of the artists that they've got, right, they've tried to kind of match that Frank Frazetta style of art, which means that, the comics take a little bit longer to do because that style of art takes a little bit longer. That's probably one of my top ones. I love Godhood comics. I don't know if you've heard of them
Oh
before.
yeah, I have. Yeah,
Tyler
sure.
Martin, the antagonist, one of the best comic books you could read right now. Absolutely incredible. You got Concrete Comics with Lonzo Starr, Acolyte. He's just dropped issue 7. Incredible there. What else, man? Bent Box Comics is another one that's tearing up right now. He has a comic book called Artificial. They just had a
Oh,
successful Kickstarter for issue 2, and it's about AI taking over art and the war to ruin AI and destroy AI so that real art can still live.
oh
Um,
wow, that's
Dude,
awesome.
it's so cool, man. But there's just a lot, man, a lot. And you know what we're finding is a lot of the mainstream writers are leaving DC and Marvel whenever their contracts are up, and they're going and doing their own thing because they can make a lot more money doing so. You look
Yeah.
at Geoff Johns, that team that he put together at Ghost Machine is literally like a Hall of Fame team, man.
Yeah, for
Ian
sure.
Hitch,
Like,
Fabok, man. It just goes on and on and on, man. Francis Manipool. It's like it's insane the team that he put together, and almost all of them have come from DC, and almost all of them worked with him on different titles, man. And
yeah.
they're people, they trust one another, they understand, and that's why even Redcoat I'm loving, man. When I saw Redcoat at first, I'm like, I'm not too sure, man. It's hilarious. It's emotional. It's awesome, man. Obviously, Rook, just because I love sci-fi, that one's been
Yeah.
awesome. Geiger has been absolutely incredible. In fact, I like this second episode, starting with issue one that just came out a couple months ago, even better than the first episode of Geiger when it first came out, man. And now we got
Yeah.
Joe coming out. You just got
Oh,
so much coming out. I think they are very quickly are going to be at the top when it comes to some of the smaller publishers. But dude, I have publisher after publisher that I'm enjoying right now. But those are some of the big ones, man. Concrete, Godhood. They're just next level, man. They just do things right. The art is incredible. So check this guy out. His name is Newton Lalavos, and I tell everyone to check him out. His comic book company is called Dream Fury Comics. So if you go to dreamfurycomics.com, you could see his comics. He has two titles, one called Keisha Demon Eater, and the other one's called Crescent City Monsters. The
oh wow.
artist that he used for his titles is a guy from the Philippines named Giancarlo. I would put him up to almost any other artist in comic books, especially for grayscale. So right, you have your colored art, you have your black and white art, and then you have your grayscale. Grayscale is a type of art that either comes out and it's bomb, it's the best art you ever saw, or it's the ugliest thing you've ever saw, right? There's like no middle ground when it comes to black and white comics. Um,
Yeah.
Incredible. I guarantee you, Shine, if you reach out and you check him out, dude, I'll make an introduction, man. You will be blown away by his comic book. He has four issues of Crescent City Monsters, with the fifth one about to come. He has one of Keisha Demon Eater, and I don't think I have it right here. It's probably packed in one of my boxes. But what he did is he came out with it as a grayscale to start with, and then he came out with it was a grayscale with red accents. So when Keisha would kill like zombies and stuff like that, you would see the blood.
The blood, yeah,
And
that's
oh,
I'm definitely gonna have to check
it
it out.
just pops. And then he came out with a third one of the exact same thing and is full color. And I don't know which one I like the best, man, because they're all amazing. And his writing style is amazing. I believe he's from Brooklyn. He's, a kind of a veteran on the indie side. He's helped out a lot of amazing comic book creators. And I've had him on my show, I think, 3 times because I absolutely love the guy. But check him out, Newton Lalavos, Dream Fury Comics. You're going to order a comic immediately when you see it. And when you check it out, best art you'll see, bro. Best art. Promise.
For sure. Like I'm definitely gonna check that out. And like,
If
yeah,
not,
art
just
like
send me the receipt, bro, and I'll buy you the comic if you don't like it, man. That's how confident I am that you're gonna love it.
man, I'm happy or confident. Like I'm definitely gonna buy it just because you said that. Like, man, I yeah, there's so many like good comics right now, like in terms of and so many great artists. Like I love like Jorge Jimenez. Like have you like
Gosh, man. He's probably one of the top artists in all of comics right now.
yeah, I love Jorge, bro. He's such a cool dude. Him and Chip Zdarsky, that's my favorite duo in
Yeah.
comics. Like every time I see those two interact at cons, like they're always joking with
Yeah.
each other and stuff. Like those dudes are funny.
Yeah.
Um,
I
that's
like
your soy.
John Boy. You like John Boy Myers?
Nah, I've never heard of him actually.
Dude, check out John Boy, man. He's been doing it for 25 years. One of the best artists in the world, man. He does mainly covers now. He has done internals. Blow you away. Another artist you got to check out is Jordan Noir. He just goes by Jordan.noir on Instagram. He does work for Image, one of the best artists you'll see. Like you said, man, there's just so many good artists, man. So many good artists, man. Dan Mora, I mean,
Yeah, Dan Moore. I'm
I
I'm
don't know
I'm
who I
learning
like
myself.
better, Jorge or Dan, man. They're both at such a high level, man. It's just incredible.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, someone like more. Oh yeah, Marco Cacchetto, like his
Marco, yeah.
like what he's doing with Ultimate Spider-Man and what he did with Daredevil before, like is
Yeah.
fire. And someone more underrated like Dexter Soy. Like I don't hear like I love like he did a little bit of the Green Lantern run from 2021. He did
Yep.
a bunch of Red Hood. He like worked on Spawn recently, Deathstroke. He like I love his art. But yeah, there's so many great creatives right now, and like I'm excited, for the new comics that are coming out. Like I'm super excited. I just wish like more people like were into them because like I hear people talk about like in the 80s and 90s like their kids grew up on comics, like kids
Yeah.
like were reading comics, and I don't really see kids reading comics. And even me, like when I was young, when I was a kid, like I read books, but it wasn't DC and Marvel. Like I was reading Captain Underpants and
Oh,
like stuff like that. So I really hope Marvel and DC could like make like certain changes like that, like make comics more accessible, like to kids so that they could grow
yeah.
up on them and stuff. Like it's
Agree.
yeah, for sure. But
I think they've
I've so
lost a lot of talent. That's one of the issues at Marvel and DC because it's become so much easier to make money crowdfunding. So
yeah.
you see, I mean, Geoff Johns, Scott Snyder. I mean, you see Peter Tomasi. You see a lot of these guys leaving and then doing their own thing and making more money than they would have made. Mark Millar. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the stories that he wrote for Marvel, some of the best stories ever that were made into movies like Civil War, right?
Yeah. I
Now you
love
see
that.
what he's doing right now, multi-millionaire director over at Netflix, took all of his entire property that he owns solely and moved it from Image to Dark Horse and re-releasing even more comics. Dude, the guy is one of my favorite writers because he just doesn't care. I just love it, man. He's a fan before he's a writer, and you could see
Yeah,
that
that's awesome.
passion that he has. Robert Kirkman is killing it right now with the Energon universe and everything that's happening over at Skybound. There's a lot to love, but the problem is the market is shrinking, mainly because of manga.
Yeah.
Anime is tearing it up. And I will tell you, man, I hated it. And my daughter got me into it. I got Chainsaw Man right in front of me right here. Dude, it's dope. You can't help it, right? But then the other thing too is you look at how many crowdfunding sites there are. There's Fund My Comic, there's Kickstarter, there's Zoop. What's another one, man? There's Indiegogo. There's like five or six different crowdfunding sites. So you want to write a comic book, Shine, and you have a good artist and you got a story and you're putting it together, you could print it on demand within 2 weeks. You go onto this site, all you got to do is pay 5% of whatever you make, and it goes onto their site, and you start to push that throughout all of your social media. People buy your book. You're never gonna, it's gonna take you for years for a publisher to pick up your title, right?
Yeah.
Crowdfunding, boom, it's picked up and you have a fan base almost instantly, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's why like DC Marvel definitely have to make changes in like just the way they distribute comics, like the way they like just do,
Yeah.
just basic business. Like cause I like kids should be reading comics and like they're reading manga. Like they're reading manga. Like even like I went like a school that I went to, like I remember going to the libraries and like the libraries are filled with manga, but I don't see a single comic book on there. So it like they definitely have to make changes and like I hope for a future where people still and there's also the digital stuff like that makes it definitely people are reading it that way and also like piracy is just so like widely it's insane how easy it is to pirate a Marvel or DC comic. Like it's like I don't promote that I like at all, but like it's like, dude, why is this so easy to do? Like, why is it so? It's just like there's a bunch of stuff, but also when you make a really good series like Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1, like that did absolutely phenomenal. Like a comic shop I went to, they literally said like this, like we were about to close down, like this saved our store. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I'm like, so it also like when you make a really really good book, people will show up.
Show
Like
up.
three, yeah, like Batman Three Jokers. I think that sold like 500 copies, like or something insane like that. So
Yeah.
well, 500,000 copies.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But yeah, like
True. You got to have good storytelling, man, right? So whenever you look at a comic book, right, it always starts with the art. And if the art's
yeah,
not good, man, you're gonna pass it. Once you have the art, you got it sold. That first issue needs to be good because if that first issue sucks from a writing standpoint, it doesn't matter what the art looks after that. You're never gonna pick
yeah,
it up again, right? So you gotta have a good artist, you gotta have a good writer, and unfortunately, Marvel and DC has lost so much talent, and they brought in a lot of younger folks that just doesn't have the same skill set and the same stories, or they're trying to take a character and bring in their own lifestyle into that character and tell
right,
their life story through the character, and no one cares
right,
about that, right? That's just not why you buy Spider-Man. And I'm not saying that's happening with Spider-Man. I think Zeb Wells is a very good writer. That's probably a bad example, and I don't want to call anybody out, but just using Spider-Man as an example, right? No one cares what the writer would do as Spider-Man. We know
right,
Spider-Man. He's been around for years. Tell me a
right,
really good story about Spider-Man, Green Goblin. Like, let me know what's going on in that world, and how Spider-Man is acting, and reacting to everything that's going on. That will help, man. And if you look at all the comic books that are doing that, they're all selling. You look at Ultimate Spider-Man, one of the main reasons why that book is so popular is because Peter Parker and Mary Jane are together again. And
yeah,
fans have been asking for this for years, but Marvel knows better than the fans, right? And so they've been writing all these stories. Mary Jane's with some other person. Peter Parker, they make him look kind of like a goofy guy and he can't get anything done. He's kind of the
yeah,
lovable loser, and that's not Peter Parker, right? And so then you
right,
walk away from it, sales go down. You get Ultimate Spider-Man, it's not even the same universe, but you got a Spider-Man that's a badass now that he's found out what his capabilities are, and he's married to Mary Jane, and they got a family, and they actually love each other. Like, not
right,
everything has to be negative, right? And so many writers want to come in and they want to tear down a Batman, and then they want to rebuild up the Batman because that's what Batman needs. Nah, man, Batman's a billionaire. He has all these. You don't need to do that to Batman. He's got to tell an amazing story. And when you look at what Matt Reeves did with Batman the movie, I have never read a comic book that looked like that, but he created this amazing story that was freaking awesome, and that's why it was a $1 billion movie. So that you
right.
good storytelling, man. Good storytelling, good artists.
Right, 100%. And like I'm not even that opposed to but like for instance with comics because and like no one's really I don't think anyone's asking literally for writers to not because obviously people will put their own life experiences. I mean that
Sure.
influences how they write and stuff in their own personality. I mean like there's a reason why someone like you'll buy a Geoff Johns book because like it's Geoff Johns, you know what I mean? But like yeah, like obviously you don't want to write yourself, you're still writing the character. And I will say like some series like people will make certain change. Like for example, when Hal Jordan, like when I'm studying and stuff, like when Hal Jordan became Parallax, like back in the day, like people apparently hated it. Like they despised it. Like from what I've seen, like the writers and stuff, like who wrote that back in the day, like they were talking about how they were getting like fan mail that was like death threats, like how dare you do this. But now when we look back at those stories, like they're well regarded. Like they're like some of Hal's like they're some of the best Green Lantern stories. So it's
That's true.
some
Right.
right, yeah. So like some things are, and I definitely believe that writers should give the fans like if the fans are like consistently asking for something, like you should definitely like with the marriage between Mary Jane and Peter. But sometimes I do feel like I will say sometimes the writer kind of just has to do what they want, like over what the fans may ask for, because sometimes like the writer may give you something you never even knew you wanted.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, like that happens a lot because like when Hal Jordan I mean, I don't think anyone really asked for Geoff Johns. Like, Geoff Johns, we need you to make different Lantern cores. Like we need you to do this. But like he did it, and now like I didn't even realize I wanted this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely like a balance. You know what I mean? You have to like. There's so much stuff that goes into it, and I definitely agree with you wholeheartedly. They need to hire more people who have an actual like passion of comics, who love comics, not just
yeah,
writers.
yeah,
Because like
exactly.
yeah, it seems like a lot of times they just get people who okay, this person has a degree, like they don't actually care about comics or superheroes. They just like they need money, they need a job, and I don't blame them. Like I mean, like you have to make money, but I think Marvel and DC just needs to be more careful with who they hire. Hire people with a passion of comics, not like people who just need a job.
Yeah,
Um, and like there needs to be more like because when I'm hearing about how people build up these characters like Geoff Johns and Ivan Rice, or like Ethan Van Sciver, like when I'm hearing them tell stories about like how they built these characters, there was so much like interaction, like they were building something like together, like something real, and there definitely needs to be a bit more of that. Like nowadays too, because
yeah,
you don't really hear about like big duos anymore. Like Jorge and like Chip, like that's a big duo that like Dan Mora and Mark Wade, like that's
yeah,
a big duo. I feel like we need more like duos who are like known for working with each other, who have a great
yeah.
relationship, and
You
yeah,
can
for sure.
trust what
Like
they're gonna do is gonna be right, right?
right, exactly. So yeah, man, that's how.
Have you seen
That's
that video going around? Because Disney has had quite a few TV shows that haven't done that well,
yeah,
and they've had a few movies that have kind of bombed. And so they've interviewed all the directors that have made all of these movies, not for this one purpose, but they always ask this one question. It's like,
yeah,
hey, when was the first time that you read a comic book, and how well did you know the character that you were writing the story for this movie? And you could look
yeah,
it up online, man. People have been passing around it. Some videos been seen a bazillion times, and every single one of them have said, I knew nothing about this character before. I've never read anything about the character. I went in to write a story, not knowing anything about the character. And if you look at that and you start to see the movie that's been produced or the TV show, and then you see that this director says, I had no idea who this character was. I didn't
yeah. That's
like no wonder why these movies are not doing well, man. You don't know the essence of who these characters are, right? What
right,
drives them? What are those passions? What are those things that they're fighting? What are those demons that they're constantly confronting, right? Who are those people within their lives that they're trying to protect and that they love? And like all those things are so crucial when you're writing a movie about a character. And if you know
right.
nothing about that, you're gonna put together something people will be like, what am I watching, man? This is
Right. Yeah, it's just crazy. And yeah, like I blame like the heads of these studios really because like I
that's what it
mean
comes down to. Yeah.
exactly because like if someone said like, hey Shine, we'll give you $200 million to write a movie on Conan the Barbarian. And like I've never read a comic, but I'll be like, hey, I'm signing that contract. I'll do something. You know what I mean?
And
I'll
all
do
of a sudden,
something.
Conan's gonna be on some motorcycle and all this. Like, dude,
Right, like I turn him into like I turn him into a Green Lantern, like a
yeah,
Sphinx Scout
exactly.
thing, like just something crazy, and it's like I mean, like I understand like these directors, they're just trying to make money, but like these studios, like you got to hire people. Like I remember like with Secret Invasion, like they literally like the people were told like, hey, don't read the comics. We're not trying to adapt the comics.
Yep.
And even with like James Gunn, I love him as a director. But even like with the Peacemaker show, like a lot of people love it and stuff. But James Gunn told John Cena, hey, don't read the Peacemaker comics because like that's not what I'm going for. And when I hear that, I'm just like, come on, man. Like I'm like, I like obviously some things don't translate well from comics to the big screen, but I feel like a lot of it does. Like with Green Lantern, like I feel like a lot of that stuff. I mean, if you can make a Star Wars movie, and stuff like that, you could definitely make a space opera Green Lantern movie. So, but yeah, like you can only hope for the best. People that are passionate about the characters, writers, even actors and directors and stuff. Like they're passionate about what they're working on, and they know what they're working on. Because like I I think me and you could write a better Green Lantern movie than most like Hollywood writers. And it's not because like we're just infinitely better writers than them. It's because we know the characters.
Yeah.
We love the characters, and like that's what it comes down to a lot.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Right on, Mr. Shine, man. Been a lot of fun getting to meet you, man. Finally got
Yeah, likewise.
get to talk and stuff like that, man. Like I said, I'm a big fan of you, big fan of your podcasts and all your videos, bro. I always feel like I walk away learning something, man. But I really appreciate you stopping by today. We got to do this again, man. You let me know when you're ready, man. Let's do it for sure.
100%, man. And like if you got like other people too, like because like I never get tired of talking about Green Lantern. If you like you were saying like having like Philip Kennedy Johnson or like
Yeah,
Jeremy Adams on, like that would be awesome.
let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I'm definitely like if you ever want me on, like just let me know. Like I definitely come on again.
I would love that, Shine. I would love that, man. Well, my friend, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a blast, man. And until next time, man, let's keep in touch and happy reading, man. We still got a lot more Green Lantern to go.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone subscribe to World at War Comics right now. Subscribe if you're not already.
Likewise with Shine Comics, man. I appreciate you, Shine. Love it, brother. And we will talk soon, my friend.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.